Yesterday, Xander was in there saying that Jay still has a long way to go to regain his trust. Do you feel like he's the right guy to be the sort of the CEO, the leader of this new entity?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you look at what Jay's done since he took over, you know, the media rights deal, navigating us through COVID, the strategic alliance with the DP World Tour. I would say, creating PGA Tour enterprises that we were just able to accept $1.5 billion into the business. I mean, people can nitpick and they can say didn't do this right or didn't do that right, but if you actually step back and you look at the bigger picture, I think the PGA Tour is in a far stronger position now than it was before Jay took over.
Do you think that so he's had kind of an unfair shake then?
I think some of the reaction to June 6th was warranted, but I think at this point it's 8 months ago and we all need to move on. We all need to sort of move forward and try to bring the game back together.
Rory, your form since Dubai wouldn't have been what you've been hoping for. Are you at the stage where you want a good week or do you need a good week?
Both, probably. And it's not as if they've been, middle of the road, 20th places or 20 for whatever it is. It's not, I'm not missing cuts, but at the same time, with how I've driven the golf ball the last 3 weeks, I should be contending in the tournaments that I've played. So, a little bit of work to do with the irons and trying to get those straightened out. But I feel like every other part of the game's in great shape. Driving the ball well. I feel like I figured out my putting last week and putted well the last 3 days at Bay Hill. So it's just, taking advantage of the positions I'm putting myself in off the tee.
Rory, you was
Sorry, familiarity and the fact you're a past winner here must help as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's, fortunately there's not many places I go now that I'm not a past winner, so it's that's nice.
Rory, you were saying that somewhere that you had an incredible feel with your driver, but it maybe wasn't translating to your irons. I was just wanted to learn a little bit more about what's going on there and how you're kind of working through it.
Yeah, I have this amazing feeling with my woods at the minute, and I know you saw a couple of tee shots yesterday, and but when I try to recreate that feeling with the irons, it starts left and goes further left, and I think it's to do with you turn harder with a wood and you're sort of clearing harder, and then I think sometimes and it's really it's a feeling of at the top in transition. And when I try to do it with an iron and instead of a wood, I think it just sort of drops behind me. And then, I love this feeling of firing my right arm down the target line. And I can do that with my woods really well. But then when I try to do that with my irons, it club face closes over and goes left. So it's almost like two different swings. I need to, I have a swing thought for my woods and I need a different swing thought for my irons, and that's sort of what I've been working on over the last couple of days.
Hey, Rory, I have a question about you suggesting Scotty use a mallet on TV, and now that he won by 5, how daunting is that to have a guy who has been so successful tee to green now seems to be feeling it on the greens? And then secondly, how often do you give advice to another player? Not to say Scotty necessarily.
I'm not going to give him any more advice, that's for sure. So, look, I was asked the question and I basically give a response that was, it's very hard to talk about other players, right? It's you don't want to say anything that's, Scotty's had enough criticism about his putting over he doesn't need me to start. I mean, you guys talk about it enough. So it was me basically trying to, talk about myself more than talk about Scotty. I was like, okay, when I putted with the blade, I struggled. When I went to the Spider, I found a little more success and I was a little more consistent. And I didn't know he was going to put it straight in the bag and win by 5. But I think, I don't, if people ask for advice, I'll certainly give them, because it's not, I don't feel like I need to be guarded or need to, I think over the years coming up through the ranks, people have been good enough to me if I've asked them advice to give me advice. So, I think I should be able to repay that to other people if they come to me. So.
Hey, Rory, how would you characterize the last year and a half for you, on the board, off the board, kind of spokesperson, trying to win in your next major and all that stuff? And are there times where you, maybe in a quiet moment, want the train to slow down a little bit for yourself?
No, I want the train to speed up so we can get this thing over and done with.
I know, I just mean personally, as you, in your journey.
It's been an education. I feel grateful that I was on the PGA Tour board at the point in time when I was. I feel like it will stand to me down the line if I ever want to get deeper into the business side of things, whether that's in golf or in other domains. But yeah, I definitely think that it didn't really take a toll on my golf, because I still feel like I played really good golf the last couple of years, but it took a toll on my time and time that I wanted to spend maybe doing other things, and that was that was a part of the reason why I decided to get off. But yeah, it's been an education, and I've said this to you guys, I like being busy. I just like being busy doing my own things, and it just got to the point, and it's different now though. You've got two boards on tour. One's really a business board, and sort of that priority is growing the growth of the business of the PGA Tour, and then the policy board, which I was on, was about making rules and slow play and whatever else. And that the business board to me would be something, if an opportunity came along in the future and I felt like it was the right time, would maybe be something that I would like to get involved in again.
If I could just follow quickly on that, just in terms of all the stuff you've pretty much won everything but that next major in the last 10 years. How much does that build up in the back of your head? I think I've heard you say that the next major will feel like your first major, if I'm not mistaken, but how much does that kind of build up for you a little bit?
It does, but then at the same time, I look at my record in the majors over the last couple of years, and I've definitely started to perform much more consistently in them. So, yeah, look, I'm under no illusion that the clock's ticking, and it has been 10 years since I've won one of them. And I've had chances, and those just haven't went my way, and I just need to keep putting myself in those positions, and sooner or later it's going to happen.
Hey Rory, you had a conversation with Jordan following his comments on the PIF a month ago. Felt like Tiger made some similar comments to that at Genesis. Have you spoken to Tiger about that in a similar vein?
A little bit, yeah. I spoke to Tiger at Genesis a little bit. Yeah, just about sort of everything, whether it be the PIF negotiations or SSG and equity, and okay, how are we going to, or not we, how's the tour going to grow and go from $2.5 billion in revenue to $4 billion to whatever, to we're all part of the business now. We've all got these equity grants, so how do we make that equity grow so it benefits the players?
Rory, you expressed a desire for more signature events last week in Orlando, and it's received some troubling reviews from some of your peers out here on tour. Can you explain the difference between signature events and what we used to have for decades with the WGC? It feels like these signature events give more opportunity to PGA Tour players than ever before, but there seemed to be a lot of consternation.
Yeah, I think when you've got a members organization that's been in existence for 60 or 70 years, and the first mantra of that organization is playing opportunities. Whenever people are perceived to have playing opportunities taken away from them, they're not gonna like it. So I can understand that, absolutely, and I think it's just the tour's been a certain way for so long. But I also think that the tour hasn't necessarily evolved with the changing times to make it a more compelling entertainment product, and sort of trying to fit in with the sort of modern media and sports landscape. So I think back to that meeting in Delaware, and I think, okay, did we push too hard? Did we try to, did we hold the tour to ransom too much, the top players? And you look at, I think the signature events or the designated events elevator, whatever it is, they really worked last year. Like if you look at the leaderboards, you look at the ratings, I felt like they really, really worked in 2023. And for whatever reason, they're not quite capturing the imagination this year compared to last year. And I think if I were to put my own perspective on it, I think it's because fans are fatigued of what's going on in the game. And I think we need to try to re-engage the fan and re-engage them in a way that the focus is on the play and not on talking about equity and all the rest of it. So, you know, that's why I said, like, the sooner that this is resolved, I think it's going to be better for the game and better for everyone, the fans and the players.
From a business perspective, it appears to be a much better product, but from a player perspective, are you still in favor of the qualifying criteria with a 30-40% churn each year?
Absolutely. I think more churn the better. I said this last week. I said this is supposed to be the most competitive golf tour in the world, and I think you should need to have to prove yourself over and over again. Like, that's, you know, you look at, I don't want to take from other sports, but you look at like tennis, for example. They have a 1-year rolling ranking, not a 2-year rolling ranking, like we have in the OWGR. And I think that it incentivizes the players not to get complacent, basically. And I think that's really what I'm trying to talk about. And that's why I talked about last week. Like, I'm all for giving the young guys opportunities. Like, I think there should be more opportunities for PGA Tour U. I think there should be more opportunities for the Corn Ferry guys. It's the guys that get on tour, get comfortable, and don't really, that's where I think that the tour could do a better job of, like, bringing the new talent in and sort of having these steady pipelines.
Roy, back to what you just said. Jay made more than 24 references yesterday to the fans and reinvesting in them for what this new entity is going to be moving forward. I'm curious, what specific examples are, because you're probably going to be one of the cornerstones of this, can fans be excited about? What is coming in the next 2 to 5 years that will capture the imagination of golf fans?
So I think probably, from limited conversations with SSG and sort of what they're thinking, I think the on-site experience is something that they're going to heavily invest in. So trying to get more people, I don't think every week has to be like a Phoenix Open, but I think having it be more of an event. Like, you think of like Formula One, for example, and it's like, okay, you go there and it's a weekend of racing, but there's so much else going on, and you get 400,000 people in through the gates on any given weekend. So creating more events like that, where it's a way to enhance the on-site experience for a fan, even fans that don't necessarily, watch golf week in, week out, but, you try to bring them to a tournament, get them introduced, and, I think that's one part. And then I think the television experience, I think Jay referenced this with PGA Tour Studios up the street. And I mean, I think if I were a fan, I would want to watch the best players compete against each other week in, week out. And to me, that seems like the lowest hanging fruit. Well, not the lowest hanging fruit, but basically, okay, I think if you just unified the game and brought us all back together in some way, that would be great for the fans. I would imagine. And then I think that would then put a positive spin on everything that's happened here. And we're like, okay, get together, we all move forward. And I think people could get excited about that. And I don't know what that looks like. And that seems like it's probably further away than it should be. But I mean, that's my perspective on it.
How much does the onus fall on players like yourself to be more open to these opportunities and to be part of these fan engagement experiences?
Yeah, so to me, this is the problem with a members organization. Things are created for the members, right? And then once those things are created, you got to go sell those things to fans, sponsors, media. And to me, that seems a little backwards. I think what needs to happen is you need to create things for the fans, for the sponsors, for the media, and then you have to go sell that to the players. Tell them to get on board with that, because if they get on board and we're all part of the business now, if the business does better, we do better. That seems pretty simple to me.